everybody, and welcome to the Coach Carter Show. I'm your host, Clarence Jones, as we go over Bruin Football here in the 2025 season. The Coach Carter Show, as we always review what happened this past Friday. Also, we take a look at what's coming up this Friday and some topics in between. It should be a very exciting show week after week. Joining me, as always, each and every week is the star of the Coach Carter Show, the head coach for Orangeburg Wilkinson Bruin Football, Coach Chris Carter. Coach Carter, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. What's going on, man? What is going on?
Oh man, nothing much here, nothing much. I know everybody was smiling faces here in Bruin country as the Bruins come out and dominated against the Cavaliers from Anderson last Friday night. It was an epic matchup, and I think the people at the Bruins country, they loved the game. They loved everything about the game: offense, defense, special. Well, we'll get to that special teams in a minute. Just to review what went down, Coach. Of course, 48-0, the final score. Bruins coming out strong against the Cavaliers. First off, want to get your thoughts about the game overall.
I think overall we played a pretty good game. That I did see a lot of things that we have to go back and work on and correct. But it gave us an opportunity to try some things that I think will help us down the line. But just overall, our guys, the enthusiasm, the attitude, and how they played, I was just really excited about that.
Oh, yes, definitely. And of course, the offense came to play. The defense pitched a shutout. So overall, a great game by the Bruins. But before we actually get into the game, let's get into what happened this past offseason. Of course, training camp and the team coming back. And what was your expectation, and how was training camp for you and the team, and then coming out and showing off what you have done in training camp, and it actually helped to get this victory this past Friday night?
I think overall, this summer, our guys put in a lot of hard work. We had an opportunity to visit a few camps around and get those guys involved. Of course, we had some new kids come in and they had to gel with the kids we had. But I just think we had great scrimmages. And our guys came to play, but I think just the morale and the attitude about becoming a family has really been our main goal during this off summer.
Oh yes, and that family attitude really translated on the field this past Friday night with that 48-0 win over the Cavaliers. So let's now get into the specifics of the matchup with the Cavaliers. First off, offensively, your thoughts. Big game for a guy, Mr. Peebles.
Yeah, Brendan has been playing really well. He's going now into what he calls his sophomore season. I think now he has a really good grasp on the offense. What things I want to see him do. And the plays, when I call the plays, he's really in tune with what I'm calling, and he sees things on the field. I'm giving him a little bit more of the freedom to make adjustments at the same time, which you'll see a little later in the game. But I just think overall his growth process and what I'm seeing, I'm really pleased with that.
Yes, and of course he's just going to mature more as the season progresses under the offense. But before we get into the best running back, I think, in the region and probably in state right now, but before we get into that, what was your philosophy heading into the season offensively?
Of course, everybody knows. We have Jordan Avenger, but we have three, actually four really good running backs. I think with Derek Thomas, Jordan Avenger, DeMonte Sistrunk, and also Chris Glover. And then we also have a young man by the name of Zaquan Williams. I think he's going to also, be he's a younger guy, but he's coming on. But just the overall excitement of our backs. What I was looking for in our offense now is to be able to implement and add our passing game into it, because I think we have some really good explosive receivers now in the system to go along with Brendan to help us out. we had to replace some linemen that we lost three key linemen this year, but we were replacing those guys and getting those guys, ready for that region stretch when we get into it.
Now, you mentioned about the offensive line. How has that been an adjustment with now bringing in probably what three new starters from a year ago? So you lost some of that, I would say, upperclassmen beef up front, but now bringing on with this new offensive line. How did they play for you? What's your thoughts with this new offensive line this past Friday?
Um, you know, I think overall, we still have good solid crew with Chris Darby, Jackson Glenn up front. We also have some new guys that we're trying to bring up to replace um, Ross, who transferred to Ridgeview, and then we lost David Blanchard, who graduated now attending the Citadel. And so so now we're putting those pieces together. I think for the so for three of them it's going to be their first time playing together. Then again, he is also a transfer that came in along with Deshaun Veal. We got a couple more. We got a freshman, Jaden Dash, um, PJ. I'm just thinking about a few more. Jaden Lambright, who was unable to play yesterday due to some bronchitis issues. But it's just, the offensive line, just getting those guys to gel together. So I think we got to do a little bit more work up front. We're just working on the basic fundamentals and understanding how to block, hand placement, steps, and those things that get us ready. We have backs that I think just with these guys that they just need a little bit of room and they can make something happen. I think we got receivers that can go get it, but it's just the biggest thing is just making sure our line is up to par, doing what they're supposed to do.
Well, coach, it seemed like on this past Friday night, the line was up to the task because, as we speak, one of the best running backs in the state of South Carolina is a part of your team, and I'm talking about none other than Joe Avenger. I call him
Average.
Avenger.
Oh,
Avenger the Avenger. How about that?
okay. Yeah.
Avenger the Avenger. How about that?
Yeah. I
So, but
think.
yeah, let's talk about multi-talent. Huh?
Yeah. I think Jordan is now
Yeah, let's talk.
starting. You said let's talk about Jordan.
Yes.
Okay, I think Jordan now is coming to his own. He's learning who he is, but you can't forget Derek Thomas, who also 1,000, yard rusher along with Demonte Sistrom at fullback. But Jordan is a special guy. He's big, strong, fast. He can play receiver. He can play running back. He plays linebacker for us. But he adds a different element to the game also. One of the things I think with when you ask about Jordan is that Jordan could probably be an all-purpose back, a three-down back, big enough to pick up the blocking, can catch the ball, can run it, can also play. He's big enough where you can even move him to an H back, and he can block. But he's just overall. I just label him as an athlete. He is a really good athlete, but I think he's starting to learn who he is, and I think that's just something that was with growth as he came in last year.
So let's go into, I guess, the rest of the backfield because it's not just Jordan, but of course you mentioned Sistruck and the rest of the running back crew. Talk about this talented backfield, and because now with these new offenses, but they're going three and four wide receivers, and they doing all types of zigzags across the field. But you yourself, as far as with the offense, it just seems like it's just the old wishbone, the old run and smash and just trample everybody over.
Yeah, I think now we adopt the philosophy. We have multiple formation offense. And I've ran this several times. Before my coaching career, we did it when I was at Lake Marion. Multiple formations because now not only do we have backs, but we got receivers that can go. Dalen Hoffenwanger, Jaden Dash, Desmond Miller. Um, you know, I- man. We just got so many guys that can actually play in those slots. And of course, you got Jordan Avenger there, and we got a couple other guys that can really go get the ball. And so one of the things I think what people are going to see is a multiple formation offense. So it's not going to be the conventional. It's not going to be smash mouth, wishbone 24/7, but it's not going to be the conventional offense you're used to seeing. Our guys have nicknamed it the main event, and I think the more these guys play, yeah, the more these guys play together, the better they're going to become.
You know what? I like that, coach. The main event. I think that should be put it in headlines and all of the newspapers, social media platforms. The main event comes to your town.
Yeah, yeah. The offense is
So,
the offense is the main event, and the defense is called the Iron Claw.
oh, the Iron Claw. Okay. Well, you know what? Speaking about the Iron Claw, they really had their claws into the Cavaliers this past Friday. Let's switch over to the defense because the defense plays shutout ball. So when you can say that you held an opponent to zero, then that is some good defensive play there, coach. So let's talk about the defense and how they shut out the Cavaliers this past Friday night.
Yeah, I thought our defense really played well, led by our linebacker Chris Glover, and in the secondary, I think we're led by Tyron Tyler. We've got a bunch of guys in the secondary. Dalen Hathaway plays in the secondary. Jordan Logan. We got T.J. Dixon. You got Jaden Dash. We've got DBs for days, and then when you get in the linebacker crew, of course, you got Jordan Avenger, Monty Sistrunk, Anthony Robinson, Chris Glover, just to name a few on D line. We got Jackson Glenn, Terry um, Johnson, and then we also got Najee Pelzer, which is a freshman, 6'4" freshman. I think it's going to be really special. But our defense, of course, we have a new defense coordinator, Dante Evans. He played for me at Lake Marion, went to Ole Miss, and then co-defense coordinator James Valdez, who also played for me at Lake Marion and went to NC State. So, and we added defensive linemen. Pretty much everybody knows Jabari Ellis, who played at Carolina. Those guys on that defensive side, they've all played together. They played for me. They know what I'm looking for, and they're doing a really good job with the defense. And just each one of them now brings their own expertise to it. Uh, but they also understand what I'm looking for because they've played for me. So, but I think they're doing a really good
Yeah.
job with our defense on that end. And so, we brought in a lot of new faces this year on the coaching staff. Just to name those few, a couple of others.
Yes, since you want to talk about it, yes, let's talk about the new faces on the Bruin coaching squad because it's a turnover from last year. But yeah, you just explained some of the new coaches, but give us a rundown of the new faces that we will see on the sidelines this year.
Well, of course, like I said, Jabari Ellis, who's taking a lot of defensive line from that played at Carolina, played Dante Evans, played at Ole Miss, played linebacker there, standout, and then of course you have James Valdez, who's working and has the secondary. On the offensive side, I brought in Cam Johnson, who played for me, went to Georgia State and South Carolina State. I'm taking over the offense coordinator duties, did it last year, and just going to keep it going, implementing those things. So with those guys, I think we've really added. We also added Dwayne Lewis, who's now coaching our freshman team, and we're all going to take it on our defensive unit staff. But I just think with those added, we added Bradley Brown. Raquel Benton is a football analyst. She's taking over all our film duties and things like that. We also have a couple of parents, I think, that's really doing a good job volunteering, helping out, Mr. Best, Mr. Glover, those guys. So one of the things about any kind of program when you start implementing and building a program is getting people that believe in your philosophy, believe in how you do things, and they loyalty and got your back. And those guys that have come in, they're solid, and they just want to get to work.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it just seems like everything just came together this past Friday with the win over the Cavaliers. But of course, that's just one game down. But we have several more to go, and of course the opponents gets tougher and tougher each and every week. And of course, going into region play, that's going to be that signature uh, part of the schedule. So let's get into how this team come together now, and just now the philosophy moving forward, because of course there's a big game coming up this Friday against Airport. So Airport, they're not the Cavaliers, so Airport is a much tougher team. So just looking ahead now, because now uh, we got past the Cavaliers. Now looking ahead towards a tough Airport team.
Yeah, airport, which I always think is you have to have a measuring stick and a good test, and of course they're 4A squad. They used to be when I played back in the days, we were all in what we call the Big 16. Now now W we're down now around 800 kids total in our group in our school now. But the thing about it is that I feel like our kids can compete with those guys. We do have a good, a good solid core guys. Last year we played them for the Dick Sheridan Trophy and beat them 14-9. So I think overall with our kids is just going in this game, understanding that we're gonna have to play. I think it's gonna be a challenge for our offensive line to step up, and they're gonna have to play. They're gonna have to hold their blocks. But for the biggest thing with our kids is um, now what I see is they do have confidence. They're not cocky, but they have confidence. And I tell them, take each game one game at a time. Respect everyone, but fear no man. And so with that, we just got to go out. We got to play. We got to hit. It comes down to blocking, tackling, and running and catching. And so we got to be able to do those things, and we got to be able to execute those things well.
I hear this saying now even more in 2025 as I interviewed different coaches and players. They say, well, we're 1-0, but next week we're 0-0. We got to go 1-0 again. Does that philosophy still hold true for you and as the Bruins as well?
Yeah, definitely. With our guys, I tell our guys all the time is that um, once that game is done, it's done. We got to move forward. I want to be 100% better. And when I say 100% better, each day I want you to become better and better, but challenging yourself. I tell our guys is that you don't have to. You don't have to beg for no one to respect you. You make people respect you. You earn it. You don't deserve anything, but you have to earn it. And so I tell our guys go out and earn it each day. Give it everything you got, but earn it each day. So when whatever goal you've set for yourself, um, you've got to earn it, and the world doesn't owe you anything. And so when we go up and we play against Airport, yes, they're bigger school, they're 4A school, but you know, but you have to make people respect you. So it's not like you're going up there a lot. They're going to be coming to our place, and they're going to be coming for the same thing that we want. They want to win. We want to win, but it's going to come down to the person who wants it the most. And I think just our kids now, they want it. They've had a taste of winning and know what it's like. But I just say, we got to challenge ourselves to get better and better. We can't live off the past. Last year's record was great, but we want to improve on that, and we want to get better and better each time.
Right, definitely, definitely. Well, you say improve, and of course, all three aspects of the game has to show up for Airport this Friday. Uh, of course, we talked about the offense, defense, good, but now we're gonna come to something kind of it was a sore spot for some of the Bruins fans as they saw on Friday night was the kicking game and the kicking struggles. Of course, the field goals and the point afters. Yes, it was something to work on, but there is a reason for that, and I will allow you, Coach Carter, to tell us the reason of the kicking struggles,
Yeah,
and will that improve on Friday?
Yeah, it's going to improve. We had some I tell our guys that choices, every choice you make comes with a consequence. And so I'm not going to give our kicker's name, but our kicker, he made a choice, and that choice caused him to get suspended. But I expect him to come back ready to go. And here's the thing, some of these things you got to hammer out early, because what you don't want to do is get to a region game and be dependent on the guy, and he does something stupid and now he's not there. So consequences, for every consequence there's a reaction. And so I just want our guys to learn from it, and then we move forward. We called on the guy at the last minute, asked him to come out there and be our kicker. But I think overall that's going to improve with the next game, and I fully expect us to have that part rectified and corrected with our extra points and field goals.
Gotcha. Now, coming out of the game against the Cavaliers, any injury updates as far as with the players, any knickknacks, or we looking strong going into against Airport?
Yeah, we're looking pretty strong. No injuries. Everybody, thank God that no, there was no serious injuries out there. And so the biggest thing, because that's one of the things people always kind of worry about, is getting injuries and things like that. But our guys, we want to keep them in the weight room. We want to keep them lifting. I think our weight staff does a good job with that. And so just come out of this game, we're good to go. And so we have an open date here, and then we're gonna get ready for airport coming in. So that gives us a little time to work on our offensive line. But as far as any substantial injuries that may have caused some type of major conflict for us, we're in good shape right now.
Okay. Well, that's always good to hear, especially because just looking at some of the injuries that I've seen covering this past week of high school football, I've seen several schools who have some of their star players was hurt either during training camp or actually hurt during the game. So it's good to hear that we are good, health wise going into airport because we need all the bodies we can to try to get this victory over airport.
Yeah, yeah, and we're gonna come out guns blazing. But we expect to be coming in that game fully healthy and ready to go.
So let's turn our attention now. Also, too, the transfers has also made an impact here for the Bruins. So we touched on it a little bit, but talk about some of the transfer that has transferred in, and I have a follow up question after that.
Yeah, I think the guys that have joined our program have made a significant impact. They all have a good work mindset. Chris Glover, Calvin County, Jaden Dash from Lake Marion, Dalen Hoffenwenger, who came from uh, Hammond. We also have Jordan Logan from Bamberg, and all these guys. It. The new rule is basically allowing people to transfer for academic purposes, or if they, circumstances that come up. But they did open it up for kids to get the ability to be able to go where they would like to go. So I think in some instances, because we lost a kid to that transfer rule. We lost a tackle, a good tackle too at that. But I think for the most part, it's just challenging coaches now. Um, like the old days, it was kind of like you was kind of stuck as a player, um, where you were, but now you got the ability to go where you want to for academic reasons. It may be just you feel like you can get a better academic education somewhere. With that being said, so it's not like the transfer portal as people think of it, like in college. It's more so, but it does give kids opportunity, because what was happening is that kids who were in multiple high school districts where they had school of choice. Those kids were able to go to different schools. But where a kid is in as far as in a one school district had no choice, which kind of made it unfair for those kids. Now those kids, if they choose to go to another school district, they can go, um, providing they have the transportation in the school that accepts them. But they also now have a school of choice. So I think that's one of the main things they were looking at. But athletics does benefit from that, but it's not so the transfer rule, the way people are looking at it, was basically to level the playing field for kids who are in one school districts.
Well, and just my thought about the transfer rule effect. You said it's not like college, but it seems like college because let's just say if a kid maybe in your program they decide that after they transfer from whatever school and then they come transfer to your school and they seem like okay it wasn't as good as a fit as y'all would like. Can that kid again transfer to another school? Isn't that kind of like the same as now college?
No, because now, once they transfer once, you get one transfer, and then after that,
Okay.
there are some rules and circumstances that take place, and then it goes to the high school league. You can be penalized where you will lose half your season if you go back. So there are some substantial penalties in that. Next year, they're ruling out, I think, where seniors, if they transfer, they're going to lose like 50% of their games. And I have to really look at, but I believe you may miss the playoffs too. So I think it was a general rule this year, but there are some guidelines like you can't just transfer this school, then transfer to another school, go back to this school. You allow one transfer. Then after that, then the high school league gets involved, and they made it clear there are some rules with that, and so um, when kids move, they better be sure that that's the move they need to make because the one thing about that is when you start getting a lot of transfers, sometimes that playing time gets scarce with certain kids, and then it doesn't look as good as it did before.
Right, right. Yeah, it doesn't look good because my thing is because I look at college football and I love college football, coach, and I know you love college football too. But this transfer where a player hops from one school to another, there's one player that I've read they're already on their fifth school, and two of those
Yeah.
schools they never saw the field, and then three of these schools, these other schools, they played sometime. That's why I was like, I think the transfer portal in college needs to change up a little bit. I like what the state of South Carolina is doing as far as limiting the how many times you transfer, because I believe that education is the key because at school you have to be at you got to get your education first. I know those players want to be out on the field playing and as much time as they want on playing time on the field, but still school is a priority. So when it becomes a blurred line between players choosing football field over school, do you have to like take a step back and look like what exactly is going on?
Well, one of the things I look at it, I kind of look at it like this from this perspective. I know it does hurt as a coach when you put so much time in a kid and then he ups and leaves and goes somewhere else. You're like, wow, I invested a lot of time. But it's the same thing when it comes to coaches. Like coaches, we get a job and then we move uh, to another school, thinking that's a better school, a better opportunity. And there's sometimes where we coaches leave after 1 year, and kids, they got to readjust and they got to adapt. Uh, I've seen teachers and different professions come into a job 1 year and then go to another place the next year. So I think like from that perspective, if coaches can move at the drop of a dime, if I can be the coach at if I can let's say I can be the coach at Benedict or the coach at Allen, and then Clemson comes calling, and I can just jump and go to Clemson, you know, then in 1 year. And then from Clemson, if I get another offer, I can leave Clemson and go to Auburn. You know, no one's saying anything about those kids. They have to go through those adjustments. So I think what's happening is two ways. Um, it it kind of makes it because it's a it's a two-edged sword. Um, Kids who want that freedom also understand that coaches in college can also cut you after 1 year. So you can either get in the transfer portal, or they can tell you, look, you're not going to have a scholarship next year. You need to transfer. But at the same time, with coaches and that portal and stuff like that, I just think it kind of levels the playing field. But at the same time, is that it kind of hurts some programs because it's a struggle of keeping kids, but it just makes it where, you know, if you want to keep your kids, you provide the type of program where kids want to be a part of it, where they want to play for you and they enjoy playing for you. So, you know, I think it's two ways on that. So I'm kind of torn on both sides because when you're on the side that you lose a player, you really look at it like this sucks. But then, you know, when you gain players, you're like, man, this is really good. So it's kind of like a two-edged sword there.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Definitely. Now, I just wanted to just jump from the high school to the college ranks right quick, but I want to say if this will be a trickle effect. NILs ever since the beginning of NILs, I think NILs is a great thing for a college football player, especially in the big time program or whatever, to earn money. But will you think it will ever trickle down to say high school levels? Because now with the transfer rule in effect, boosters and what, because high school level you have your boosters too.
Yeah.
So do you think it might be a trickle down effect of NILs invading high school leagues?
You know, in some states it already has. It's already there. It's coming, whether people want it or not. It's coming. Um, and and here's the thing. You know, I read a book. It used to be called Heroes and Villains, and it was like a hero is basically someone that helps provide the needs and protect your interests at heart. The villain is someone who kills it and destroys it. And so the book actually showed us how, to some people, what we view as a villain is a hero to, and some people what we view as the hero is a villain to others. And so I think with the NIL, what it does, uh, it creates opportunity for some kids that may be in a situation that, you know, they may not have know where that meal's coming from, and now they have a way of providing and helping their family out. On the other side, you know, it gets it where now kids are kind of like chasing the dollars and almost lose the love of the and the purity of the game. So it's such a two-edged sword, but it's coming because in some states it's already here. South Carolina hasn't adopted it yet, but I'm telling you, it is coming. Just like when states started doing the school of choice, it was just a matter of time before it started, you know, spreading, and now it's here. I can remember when South Carolina was on a 7 point academic scale, where for us a 93 to 100 was an A, and then in Georgia it was like a 90 to 100 was an A. And so our kids were missing out on scholarships because, you know, our scores was so much higher. So now we're on a 10 point scale now. So all these things are taking place, is coming, whether we like it or not. So change is inevitable. So we're going to have to adapt with the change. You don't have to lose your morals, but will have to change at some point in time. We're going to have to adopt new things. We're going to have to look at new things. And when we begin to understand, when you stop willing to grow, that's where you need to kind of step back. So you have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to expand. You have to be willing to grow with the times, along with growing, not losing your morals and your values of what you stand on and the principles you believe in.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I can still think like the morals and beliefs. Some of these folks, and it's not even the players. We're talking about the parents. Made
Yeah.
their morals and beliefs sometimes because edge on what they're going through financially right now, and they looking at their son as almost a cash cow. And as I mentioned, and the reason why I brought up NIL, because now you're going to start looking at a cash cow son from say middle school and say, oh, when you get to this XYZ high school, they're going to offer you six figures, and then when you go into LSU or Florida, they're going to give you seven figures. We don't even need to go to the NFL. Just save our money and just go ahead and get what we can in high school and college. That's why I think this might come to a head at.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to add some rules, but I just think right now the way this thing is going, it's coming, it's coming, and people are talking about it now. You got some kids in high school now that's already earning NIL money. I think Georgia's paying their kids $20,000. Those who committed to them, they're getting 20,000 in high school um, as a part of staying committed to their commitment to Georgia. And so it's coming. Um, no matter how we look at it. But here's the thing: when universities go to bowl games, when universities sell tickets, they're making millions of dollars. Millions. When I was in school, you couldn't even work or have a job. You got Pell Grant. That was it. It may have been about 1,000, but you couldn't have a job. You couldn't work. Uh, and sometimes my parents were able to send me money, but some kids' parents weren't able to send them money. So not only could they not work and have a job, but you got so how are you going to have money to put gas in your car to just do some things if you can't even have a job? That was the craziest thing. So now they started saying, hey, we
Yeah.
got to lighten up on this. So those things, I think on the other side when I hear people talk about it, is those are the things they don't see. I remember in college we had a guy named Joe. I remember when this guy came to school, he had a suitcase, a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, and an alarm clock, and that was it. And you're like, holy cow, man, that's all you got. And so, but he couldn't have a job. So, he had to get some money from somewhere. Um, and taking out loans and stuff and graduating $20,000 in debt and $100,000 in debt because you're taking out loans. I mean, and the school is profiting so much money. Like the school, like they go to bowl game. Some schools get 20 and $30 million. So why can't you know a kid get some of that, even when they're playing on their backs? And so I think that's just I think it's just a part of it. And I always said that everybody's getting paid except the person on the field running the ball.
Right, right. But now the person on the field running the football is getting a little something, something now. A little
Yeah,
something, something.
yeah, yeah. They getting some now. They getting some now. So I guess
All right, Coach. We
everybody's
got
got to
about.
make their thing.
Hey, make your paper. Look, for me. Make your paper any way you can, because you do have
Long as it's
families that have financial
long,
situations where you.
long as it's legal. Long as it's legal.
Ha! But what coming to America? Aha! Aha! As long as it's legal.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, Coach. I know we kind of went off talking, but this is a good topic that we need to discuss because the football season is just getting started, and just looking at the climate of what's going on, not just on the high school level, but on the college level, how everything kind of just intertwines with each other. Because look, we need each other. High schools, excuse me, colleges need high schools because that's the feeder system, and of course, college, they defeat their system to the NFL or whatever professional football league is out there. But still, I think college is amateur. High school, still amateur. But you mentioned it about a few minutes ago about the love of the game. Do you believe that the love of the game now will start kind of diminishing because of they want to be paid dividends?
Yeah. And that's always that always comes into part when money starts coming into play. With anything, um, once the goal becomes pure money, the love of it is lost. And the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of times when you do stuff because you love it, that's a different type of passion versus um, I do it because of the dollar sign. Because the dollar sign can fluctuate or change. The love of something can change, but when you have a love for something, I always say if you love something, you never work a day in your life. But once money starts coming involved, then you start limiting um, your passion. You start limiting your work habits. You start limiting what you do unless you feel like you get the money that you feel like you need to earn. And so um, I think people already do that in the work world. When you look at the work world as a whole, um, a lot of times when people take jobs, the reason they get discouraged is because of money. Money is the thing that drives them. But from but a lot of times when you do something out of passion and you love it and it's in your heart and you know you were meant to do that, I just think the world opens up its resources and it just comes to you. And sometimes it comes to you in ways that you don't even know. It's just a lot of times people just don't see that. Most people that I'm around, that I even try to hire, I look for people who love the game, because those people that love the game, they go over and above and beyond. When a person is kind of doing it for money, they work very limitedly, and they only do it based upon how much they're given. But the problem with that is, over a period of time, the money will not be enough. So when they're doing this, no matter what, the longer you do it, after a while, there's going to be a part where you say, I need more money. And if that's the part that's holding you there, eventually that's going to wear off. And that's why you see a lot of times when people do get in contract disputes in the NFL, because what? They're chasing the money. And I mean, and they're rightfully so. I mean, people want to be able to take care of their families. Um, and I just, when you talk to a regular person in the work world and you talk to them about jobs and all that stuff, they want to get paid and they want to get paid a certain amount. But when it comes to talking about kids and football, it's almost like, no, y'all need to settle, be happy, and just play the game. And that was great for us in our time, but times have changed. And I think, like I said, if we don't change with the times, eventually the times will change us.
And I'll have to say this: when I was growing up and I was playing football, I played it for the love of the game. Um, I knew there would be riches in it if I really want to try to go to the NFL. But let's be honest here, a person that's 5'8" and love eating donuts every day, that's not exactly your way to the NFL. Saying I'm going to make it to the NFL, but I love the game though. I'm a passionate lover of the game. I wouldn't be broadcasting the game, or I wouldn't be covering. Maybe not even here with you without the love of the game. So that's what I think. Hopefully, this generation and the generations to follow, yes, there's going to be millions and millions of dollars that me and you wouldn't have even dreamed about during our
Mhm.
time coming up. But now this generation and the generations after that, they are going to have monster type contracts, NIL deals. It doesn't matter. It's just that I hope, for the sake of it, that they still love the game when it comes right down to it. Because I've seen when they don't love the game anymore, their skills diminish just like that. Because
Yeah.
it's not about the love anymore. It's just about catching that next check.
Yeah. And that's what it gets about too. And you're right about that, but it
Yeah.
does happen. It does happen.
Well, before we get out of here, I like to do this thing here about the star of the game, and usually I look over the stats and see who are the stars of the game. So we're gonna do this at the end, close to the end of each broadcast. Was the star of the game. So my nomination for the star of the game, I'm going to actually give it to the defense as the stars of the game, because when you only give up 0 points, I mean that's automatically a star of the game. Do you agree, Coach, or do you have a different star of the game that you would like to spotlight?
Yeah, I got to give it to the defense. I mean, you when you pitch a shutout on any level, that means you. What I look at is a shutout is like for a defense is a perfect game, um, because they didn't score. You stopped them from scoring, and if a team doesn't score, they don't win. And so I could agree with you on that.
See, I'm glad we agree. We agree. Everything we agree. I love it. I know at some point during the season, Coach, we're gonna have our little disagreements, and then we're gonna have it here live for the audience to see. So we good now, but we'll see later on in the season.
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely.
Yes, yes. So, any final words before we wrap things up here? Because I know you got to get ready for airport. It's going to be a big game, but any final words?
Just so I want to thank you for hosting the show and being part of it. I also want to thank you to everyone who came out and supported us this Friday. Of course, we'll be off. JV Junior Varsity will be heading to Manning. We also now have a C team, which is a B team that will also be playing. So we're doing some things, getting our guys ready for the next level, and we're starting with our youth too at the same time. So, but I definitely want to give a shout out. Also, I want to give a shout out to our booster club, Mr. and Mrs. Jarvis. They've been doing a wonderful job, and also to our new administration, our new principal, Dr. Goldsmith. She's taking over the school, doing a wonderful job. But and Dr. Foster, because we also had a new school coming, so you got to give a shout out to Dr. Foster, who's got that new
Right.
school in place. So there's a lot of good things happening here in Orangeburg, and I think it's heading in the right direction. I think a lot of it, in the beginning, sometimes people don't really see the bigger picture when you first start something. But anytime you're building something, you always go through. I always say when Noah built the ark, he built the ark. They say he built the ark in 40 days, but during those 40 days, the first probably 20 days, he had to really go through trying to get the people on board. But I think once the people started seeing the rain and they saw the flood coming, then they saw the purpose of the ark. And so I think, what's going on in Orangeburg now is really good. And I'm just excited, to be a part of it. And I'm excited for our kids and what's coming for them in the future.
Well, we're also excited, of course, about the win, but we're excited about the upcoming season and also the future of Bruin football under your leadership. Because I think at some point, I believe the Bruins will win a state title underneath your leadership. That's just me.
And that's the goal. And one of the things I know, at Lake Marion, we got one game away from the state title game. And one of the things I learned when it comes to getting to a state championship, it's a community thing. And when I say community thing, it's a community that speaks the same language, that encourage the kids. That they put into the kids what they demand from the kids. And what I mean by that is they invest in the kids as much as they demand of the kids. And I think that's one of the things that they did even when we played the people that were here when I was a kid playing for Orange Rogues, and they invested in us. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do now, that we're in those places is invest in the kids what you demand of the kids. And so once you do that, we as adults work together, put resources together. And here's the thing: I always say everybody, may not have the ability to give like $1,000, even $100, but I do know this: if every alumni donated $20, we will have more than enough money to do whatever we wanted to do for our kids. And our community, Orangeburg County, Orangeburg, and the people of Orangeburg, I think that's one of the things that, I speak and challenge is invest in our kids and change our language of how we talk with our kids. Um, it's almost like, people, you talk, but you don't talk about my house. This is our house. And I tell our kids, defend the house all the time, defend your house. And, you don't tear down what you're defending. And so we have an opportunity to build something great. It calls for adults coming together, putting egos aside, working together for the common good, which we say is about the kids. And if it's about the kids, then make it be about the kids.
Well, Coach, thank you. I just kind of lost you
Oh,
for a
okay.
second there. That's all. Yeah. I just kind of lost you on my end, so I was like, "Oh, what happened here?" But anyway, thank you. I think that signals that we have to wrap things up. So,
All
with
right.
that
All
being
right.
said, Coach Carter, thank you so very much, Coach, for joining me here. And again, congratulations on the victory against the Cavaliers. Is on to airport. Get rested up. Hope the team get rested up and be prepared for that airport game that's coming up sooner than people think. So, once again, thank you, Coach Carter, for joining me here. And this was a great broadcast. And look forward to seeing you next week.
Okay. I'll see you then.